Today is a bit of a special episode. We don't have any external guests here. It's just us two, Michel and myself. We wanted to record this episode as the final episode of the first season. And in this episode, we want to talk a little bit about our experience recording this podcast, talking to all these different entrepreneurs, as well as our experience working on our own startup ideas, because we've been through a roller coaster next to recording this podcast, and we've had a couple of moments where we thought, this really sucks. This is a big challenge. How are we gonna do this? And we think that it might be useful for people to understand as well how this roller coaster ride can look like. So I don't know, Michel, how was it for you? If we talk first about the podcast, how was it for you to interview these people? What was your experience like?
Thanks Daniel for the introduction. Welcome from my side as well. How we interview these people, how it is for me.
Yeah.
For me, it's without even considering what we share with others, it's super interesting for myself to meet all these interesting people and see what they're doing and where they're struggling and what they're struggling with. Learn from them for myself and be able to use that in my own or on my own entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. So it's thanks to all of our guests that have been on the show. It's been super valuable. For our own journey, as you say. So that's super cool. And so we're finishing this season, and we're looking for new guests to appear on the next season of the podcast. There might be some slight changes, but nothing major. We really want to focus on this aspect of entrepreneurs sharing their tough moments and their learnings. Yeah. So Michel, maybe if we want to share our own journey on our own ideas, because we've had some projects on the side. Do you want to talk a little bit about the story of them, when it started, and roughly what we went through?
Yeah, let me just start with it. We both quitted our jobs, right, to jump in this roller coaster ride, and we started with our big vision. We have seen that there are a lot of people who are not really engaged in their jobs, and we think that really sucks because it doesn't make them happy and it doesn't bring a lot of value to this planet. So we set out to make more people try something out, to make more people try something new, and one reason for it could be that they should become entrepreneurs. But what we realized on this journey is that it depends a lot on the mindset of the people. So if you think that it's too big risk to try out something new or to change something in your life, then you're never going to do it. And that was kind of one aspect of it. And that led us to one of our basic or first ideas to make an app which trains your mindset for attacking the challenges of starting something new or at least of leading something. And yeah, at some point we realized that there is a lot of competition out there already in this field, and we have also seen that it's going to be very, very tough to sell a product like this because it doesn't really have a direct value you can sell.
Yeah, it's quite a long-term thing, right?
Exactly.
As you say, a lot of people would us included, could benefit a lot from training, from mindset training. There's a lot of life coaches and coaches in other aspects that are very valuable, but coaches are way too expensive for most people, and then on the other side there's books that you can read, but the books can only get you so far,
and it's very exhausting to do it. It takes a lot of time
and it takes a lot of time. Yeah. So we compared it to Uber. You need, or it's a taxi, so you need to go from A to B, and they have a solution that brings you from A to B, and it's better than normal taxis because you have the app and the whole user experience is better. But saying we'll train your mindset, and maybe in a year you'll see the benefits. You'll become a better leader and your employees will like you better or do a better job. You can't really, it's not really tangible, the result. So people don't know what is their return on investment if they invest time and money into a product or an app or whatever it is. They don't really know what's gonna get out of it. So that's one thing we struggled with, not being concrete enough, right? Exactly. The product or the benefit. The benefit is not concrete enough. It's we still really believe in it. I mean, we talk about it every second day again. But we had to say that it's not concrete enough. Actually, it's too hard to bring on the market. I mean, I even thought about like you could give it out for free. Like you can make an application with mindset training sessions, whatever. You could give it out for free, but not that many people would even use it then. It's not even the price; it's more the time investment. That keeps people away from doing these things. Which is really sad because there's so many things there's so many bigger problems that need solving, like changing people's mindsets. And mindset can be in leading people, or it can be how much how do you live, what type of lifestyle do you lead, do you create a lot of waste, or do you whatever, it's all mindset changes that then change how you behave, but it's really tough to change that. So which is really sad. I mean those would be the things that have a real big impact. Definitely, but that led us to the point where we had to say that we have to start with something more concrete, because the challenge was kind of too overwhelming, or I don't know, we didn't see any way out of this anymore, or any strategy that made sense. And that's when we said that we have to stop with this project, or put it on the side, kind of pause it and tackle it later again when we have more experience in other things, or if we some point find a way how we could do it. But then we started with a new thing, and maybe Daniel, you want to tell us a little bit about what we started with, or how we did it actually. The new project is, in one sentence or in a couple of words, is Airbnb for workspaces, and it started out with we were working on our own thing, and we realized, okay, our apartment is empty when we go out to study at the library or work at the library, and there's a lot of space that's not being used every day in people's homes, and the remote work trend is really growing. There's more and more people doing home office. There's more and more freelancers. So we thought, okay, there's more demand. There's going to be more demand in the next years. And then there's an oversupply of desk space in private homes. So why not match that? So we started with that idea. We really quickly built a website and built a platform. And so now we're trying to acquire hosts in a test area in Switzerland, and as soon as we have enough hosts, we're going to try to attract our guests, our future guests, and then we'll just offer the platform, and people could make money on it like Airbnb. So if we look back at the first mindset idea, our problem, or what we did wrong there, probably did many things wrong, but one main thing was that we didn't really look at the competition well enough from the beginning. So 1.5 months in, we discovered an app or several offers that were doing exactly what we wanted to do. So we really did that better in the second step, in the second idea. And then what we didn't do well in this idea was that we didn't really identify a big problem users had. Big problem or a big desire for something new. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We just saw an opportunity. Okay, there's a lot of empty space, and we're assuming that this demand for space is growing, and then there's not enough supply with, you know, co-working spaces and coffee shops and so on. So it's still based on big assumptions.
Definitely, yeah. Now we're actually in the position where we figured out that it's probably, it's not easy, but it's not that difficult to get the host side on the platform.
Yeah.
We have figured out that there's many people using Airbnb already as a host and renting out their apartments, and we have seen, and by talking to people and contacting people, that these are kind of open and interested for a solution like FreeDesk. It's called FreeDesk. To rent out their desk space during the day when they're not there. Some people kind of work during the whole week, and then they just open it up and thereby kind of finance their rent with it.
Yeah.
So, but we have a two-sided platform, and it's not enough to just bring the hosts.
Yeah.
And thereby, or at this point, we're at the moment, that's our biggest struggle, kind of, to bring how can I say this, to find people who to show people that it's actually a cool experience to work from someone's home, because it's something totally new and something totally different. And as we know, these people are not just walking around and say like, hey, I need a desk space, you know. So we have to find them and see where they are and what they want.
Yeah, it's really tough finding the people.
Yeah,
it's not the. Yeah, we haven't found it exactly. If it's, you know, if it's what is there an age group? Is there a profession? You know, online marketers or developers or digital nomads. And I mean, how are we? I mean, maybe we can go a bit more into detail how we're trying to find these people, like the concrete activities that we do.
Yeah.
You know, if someone wants to build a platform, or even is looking for, you know, who's my first customer?
Yeah.
What are the things you could do using online channels?
I mean, on the host side, as I kind of said a little bit, that we figured out, or we had the assumption that Airbnb hosts could be good users or good hosts on our platform as well. So we reached out to them through Airbnb and just contacted everyone individually who had a nice desk in his apartment, which we could see on the pictures, right?
Yeah. So we focused on Zurich, right? And then we looked at all the pictures. For example, also I filtered for Airbnb hosts that had the automatic check-in, you know, with a key lock, so that people who wanted to work could just walk in independently of the host being there or not there, because that was one concern of hosts. You know, how am I gonna give the key to that person? Will I have to wait in the morning until that person comes? So I filtered for that, and then we looked at all the pictures of all the listings in Zurich, and the ones with the nice table. I contacted them.
Yeah.
That was
that was one way for the host, and the other way was we went on like flat, what is it called? Platforms where you can see find your flat, which one you want to rent.
Yeah.
I don't know a good English word for it.
Flat rental platforms.
Exactly. And in the end, we did exactly the same. We checked for who has a good desk to work on, which looks nice, and contacted them and reached out to them, and we already got a good response on it, and we're going deeper in there and trying to get more hosts on the platform from that side. Yeah. So, but on the other side, the guest side, that's a bit more difficult. What we did is, one thing is that we joined many groups on Facebook. Yeah. And started to interact with these people there and see if they need what they need for a workplace, if it has to be close to their homes, if it has to be quiet, if it has to be if there has to be other people there so they can interact with them and build a network and find out who actually has what need and which group would fit best. Yeah. And we're kind of still on there, and I don't know, we haven't really figured out, as you said, the best group. Like one assumption was authors, for example, because authors need a lot of. We had assumption that they need a quiet place where they can think and write their pieces. They need something that is not distracting them, as for example your home office could be distracting because you think about the dishes you have to do or the laundry or the admin stuff, whatever. And authors need something a little bit inspiring, like new environment, maybe a good view out of a window, a change of scenery sometimes to get out of this writing stuck moments kind of.
Yeah.
So we thought that's a very interesting target group, and it could be a very cool solution for them.
That's when you realize that you really need to write down hypotheses, because things you believe can just not be true.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, the authors, the finding for us was that it's not necessarily a good group of guests. They might not be the first ones to join our platform.
Exactly, yeah.
Because they work well from home or coffee shops.
Or coffee shops or somewhere else. And the thing is that they don't earn money with what they do, right?
Yeah, a lot of authors.
So it's they cannot spend money on a desk, kind of. Yeah. And therefore it doesn't really make sense for them to do that.
Yeah. But it's really, I mean, that's one of these roller coaster parts. You know, I don't know, you join 50 groups on Facebook, you post things, you ask questions, and then you're the whole day you're on Facebook and trying to talk to people, and just nothing comes out of it. Like none of the hypotheses you had work out. And you're just like,
yeah, definitely.
Who might want our
solution?
I
mean, I remember this was not that long ago, maybe a week. We came in the morning. Daniel said to me something the day before, and then I thought about it during the night, and was like, "That's a very good assumption. Let's test it." Yeah. I was like on a very high, like these authors. That could be
in the morning. You were
in the morning. I was like, and then we started talking and interacting with the people, and it just was like, "Fuck this, nothing works," and we have to change, and let's just drop the whole business model or whatever. And just, that's how it is.
That's one of the lows, exactly, and there's highs and lows all the time.
Exactly.
And the main goal now is really to create that match between a guest and a host, and have people experience that solution, or working from someone else's home. So we're really focusing on that, creating that experience, and also being there, and then interacting with the host and the guest and seeing what's nice about this solution for you. Is it better than a co-working space or a coffee shop or a restaurant or working from home, to see if it's really valuable, because all we have is assumptions. I mean, that's also a thing, Michel, you sometimes say, I could not imagine doing this, and then I say, I could imagine it, but I could not imagine doing the other thing, and it's all just opinions because we're not our target group.
Exactly.
And it's kind of a challenge to detach yourself from that, from your own opinion and views of the world, and so that's that's until now, that's the current status.
That's where we are now.
Yeah.
But the roller coaster is still on, kind of. It's still going up and down, and we're not leaving yet. So I'm very excited. I am also very excited. I'm very excited about what the future brings, especially the next 2 months, I'd say, and see where our assumptions and the feedback we get leads us to.
Do you have an example? If I ask, we ask all our guests, what was the biggest challenge for you? What would that be for you?
I mean, my personal biggest challenge in this whole thing is that we are in a very initial phase of a startup, validating an idea, and I'm working every day, but I don't really get anything out of it. And the thing is that we're like, I mean, of course we're learning a lot, but it might be that we just drop the whole thing at some point, you know. So
Yeah.
because we realize that it doesn't make any sense to continue.
Yeah.
So you know that, and you're working on it, and you give a lot to it, and you're still thinking about it while you're in bed and everything.
Yeah.
And it's on there, but you don't know if you get anything out of it, and that's very different from if you work in a corporation or somewhere in a normal job, because there you at least you get the salary out of it, you know. Yeah. And you get a nice reference letter in the end and whatever, and you get something like that. Yeah. But you're just like, okay, I worked on this project, idea validation, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you don't even have anything to show in the end. So it's tough. But for myself, I know it's definitely worth it. Yeah. But that's something that keeps me thinking. And how is it for you?
I mean, one tough thing for me was really, I'd like to solve something that's, you know, of some level of importance. I think we've been very lucky with our education, with where we live, with our experience in our jobs, and so I think we're in a good position to solve, you know, the tougher problems. But very often during that, you know, since when did we start? August. I've felt like I wouldn't know how to do that. For example, the first idea we had, this mindset trainer, that was it was really inspiring, right? We felt really inspired by you know, changing the mindsets of people, and through that having a big impact on the world. But that was kind of too fuzzy and too far away, that goal, and making that connection to the now. You know, what can we do now? What problem can we solve now? And that gave me the feeling of that's impossible. And there's other startups that already have apps online that have, you know, 2.5 million users, and I was like, how should we do that? Mm-hmm. Why are we better? And also now this current idea, all these days where there's nothing comes out of your work, it's kind of tough to to keep going. Kind of believing in maybe it won't work, but we're the only ones that can influence that, and that can influence it to become something. So if we say, okay, the world of work will change, people will stop working in fixed offices, and they'll be more flexible, and the space in cities will be used better. So more people will be able to live in the city because they'll be able to rent out their space while they work. So they'll make money through that, and you know. But of course you could say, that's not going to happen, or that's too big of a plan. And we kind of have to make the connection and believing in ourselves that if, you know, just keep pushing that idea, and it has to work. And if not, then it really sucks. But but you kind of have to create. It's kind of creating the future you want to have, but believing that, you know, two dudes can do that. Also looking at the competition. I mean, we found, of course, we did the competition part this time. We did it well, or better than the first time, and we found a lot of competition. And we talked to them, and they started with the same concept we did, and then they changed. And then we asked why, and then they had some valid reasons, and still believing in our concept. Sometimes I'm thinking, are the others just not good enough, and we're gonna do it? Or are we just stupid and keep believing in our own hypothesis? Yeah,
I mean, there's many reasons for that, but the good thing about it is that the others failed already, and we can learn from them, you know. Yeah. We know what they did. Yeah. And how they did it, and so we're not going to do the same shit again.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's always a positive and a negative, or a doubt, and we can learn from them. Yeah.
But we can learn from them, but on the other hand, it could also just show that it's a stupid idea, right?
Exactly. And you never really know.
No.
I think no one will tell you, definitely that's, or there's no one that can tell you and who you would believe.
No. I mean, all these big new world dominating organizations, if I could say it like that, they are kind of built on an idea that was like 99.99% of the people would have said that's stupid.
Yeah.
And they did it because they were a little bit freaks,
Yeah.
Nerds. And and it worked. And I think that's in the end the key.
Yeah.
To the vision.
What do we do? I mean, when we're at this low, a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs will have that.
Yeah. What do we do?
Yeah. To come back up again. And
I mean, we discuss a lot, I think, and questioning things and finding arguments, and it always works somehow. And sometimes it takes 2 hours walking out of the building and go to a coffee place, drink a coffee, and
the vision walk.
The vision walk, yeah.
We do something called a vision walk.
Yeah.
we just stop working, go out and go on a walk.
Yeah.
On a forest or wherever you are, and kind of stimulates the thoughts.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's good anyways to move a little bit around.
Yeah.
Change of scenery first, and the other thing is that if your body is active, it's easier to think.
Yeah.
And
one important thing was I remember at one point we were kind of demotivated, very, because we hadn't really formulated the reason why we want to solve that problem.
Yeah.
It was just, we were just looking at, there's the opportunity of, having empty spaces in cities and matching that with people looking for space to work. And if you just have that, and then you go online and look for the competitors who are, on the market have been on the market for 2 years already, there's a lot going on already. If you just have that, then you compare with the competitors and you say, why do I win? Why do we have to do this? There's already people doing something similar. We're new, we're going to lose anyways, So at this moment you said that, I think that was your input. You're like, why are we doing this? And I can't find the motivation, and it was exactly right. So we went out and took an afternoon, I think. We walked in the forest and talked about why we think it's important, the bigger picture. And that really helped. I think the next day was very different.
Yeah, that definitely helped.
And since then it's been different.
Yeah.
This thought of, as soon as you see competitors, we feel less stressed about it.
It's less stressed,
because we have this big, the reason why.
That is one thing, yeah. And the other thing I would say is that write down the things in assumptions.
Yeah.
And form hypotheses for experiments.
Yeah.
And thereby not just talking a little bit about this side and that and that and that and whatever, and just put it on a paper.
Yeah.
And then just do one experiment after the next one, and valid or invalid date, hypothesis, and thereby you just learn along the way. And it's like, okay, let's test these hypotheses, and if everything is invalid, we're gonna look and brainstorm about new hypotheses.
Yeah.
And if we cannot find anything anymore, then it's dead.
Yeah.
Because then we don't have any more ideas how it could work.
Yeah, this structured approach really helps. I mean, the last, we had a couple of weeks now where we were really unstructured.
Yeah.
We had ideas and we just started working on it directly. Like we said, let's talk to digital nomads. And I was like, okay, I'm on it. And we didn't write down the hypothesis, nothing. And it was kind of shooting everywhere.
Yeah.
And really demotivating because nothing came back.
Yeah.
And we did that well in the first idea that we tested, very structured. And then, I don't know why, it was stupid, or in the second idea we just stopped doing that.
Yeah,
and we just went on a random path.
Definitely.
And then, so we realized that, and then we structured it again. And that really, really helps.
Yeah.
Writing down all the assumptions you have, defining the tests that you're going to do to see if they're true or false. and then just doing the tests one after the other. And it's like a to-do list.
Exactly.
And you can just go through it and define, hey, if this hypothesis is not true, we'll stop the project.
Yeah. And the easiest thing is to use a template for that. So if you're ever in the situation, contact us and we can send you our template we did.
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, it's for every startup exactly the same steps and the same way of writing hypothesis and the experiments to it. And we'll be very happy to share this with everyone.
Yeah. Also, one good piece of content is a book. I think it's by Steve Blank. The 4 Steps to Epiphany. That kind of lays out the concept of customer development. It compares it to product development. Product development is a big focus in companies, but not customer development. Finding out who your customers are, how you reach them, how big the market is, what type of market you're in, because there's different types of markets that require different marketing approaches, different levels of funding. For example, if you're in a totally new market with a new product, people don't know about your product, so it's going to take you more time and money to explain that product and to get people to buy than if you're in an existing market. And also, for example, one good example is if you're in an existing market, selling insurance, for example, people know what insurance is, so you can really focus on just putting money into your brand. So you don't have to explain the product. But if you have to explain the product as well, then that's just one detail of the book. It's a really great book. You can find a PDF online that really helped us structure the whole process. And also, if you need a template for that, we can also share ours.
Yeah, structure the whole thing. It helped us this, and it shows you why you start with the customer development and not with the product.
Yeah.
Because all the effort you put into developing a product, it might be the most amazing thing whatever, but it's unnecessary if nobody needs it.
Yeah.
And by not figuring out this first, you're kind of investing time and maybe even money into something that is not worth anything.
Yeah.
And I think the most dangerous thing about it is even that as soon as you have built the product, you're kind of in love with it, and you don't want to kill it anymore, and that leads you in the wrong directions and continuing on something that is not good and nobody needs. So very, very valuable book. It's very, very helpful for us as well. And we see where it leads us to.
See about that. All right. Thanks so much for everybody who's been following us on this journey. We'll stop the first season with this conversation and focus on acquiring new people to join us as guests on the next season. We really appreciate any reviews and feedback you can give us. Reviews help us, for example, on the iTunes app to get more reach, and also to better understand if we can change anything in the podcast structure or the content or the people we interview. So every time in the podcast description we have a link to a feedback survey, and if you'd like to help us out, we'd be very happy to get your feedback over that channel. And if you know any interesting entrepreneur that would like to share his or her story on our podcast and the experience that person had, please feel free to write us at nerdentrepreneurs@gmail.com. That's the easiest. Or you can reach us on our homepage, nerdentrepreneurs.com. And thanks a lot for listening, and see you in season 2.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Nerd Entrepreneurs Podcast. Be sure to visit nerdentrepreneurs.com to access the show notes, read about our next episode, and join a community of like-minded entrepreneurs. If you like the Nerd Entrepreneurs Podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes. Until next time.